and then I'll hand over to you. Ayo, over to you.
Hi, everyone. Apologies, having some serious technical issues here. Hi, everyone. My name is Ayo. I'm the president of the African Professional Network of Ireland, APNI for short. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know you're all very busy. Hopefully you've had a productive week, and this is a good way to wind down towards the end of your week, starting your weekend. So what is APNI? APNI is as I said, the African Professional Network of Ireland, established about 5 years ago. We have over 1,700 members, close to 2,000 members, being people who've signed up to be part of our network. And what we aim to do is to connect and foster collaboration and empower African professionals in Ireland, but not just African professionals, diverse professionals as well. And how we do that is through running events like this one that you're at right now. But we also run initiatives such as our mentorship program, which we'll be talking about in a bit more detail later on. We do business competitions, and we help to connect people with job opportunities as well. And networking events for people within our community as well, drinks, dinners, things to have a bit of fun, not just intense talks as well. So that's what we do. To learn more about APNI, please visit our website. Please sign up to follow us on our different social media platforms, and sign up to any of the initiatives that we do, such as our mentorship program. I'll just hand over now to Salesforce.
Fabulous, thanks, Ayo. If we could go back one slide again, Aviva. Thank you. So what we're going to do today is we've had a hello. We have a fantastic group of panelists here with you to be able to talk about the power of mentoring. Then we're also going to look at opening that up to a Q&A. So again, if you've got any questions, put them in the Q&A box. If you've got any tech issues, put them in the chat. We're also going to talk about our mentoring opportunities, both from hearing from Medima about what APNI has, and I'm going to be talking to you a little bit around some of our collaborations with APNI. So yeah, let's get kicked off. I'm going to hand over to Claire, who's going to talk to us about the power of mentoring and a little bit about Salesforce and Buildforce.
Awesome.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic. Okay, so my name is Claire Kelly. I am from Ireland. I am in what is called Buildforce, and Buildforce itself could sound like it's a group for all the messers in Salesforce who are very bold, but it actually stands for Black Organization for Leadership and Development, and that's exactly what we aim to do. So we're actually a global group, a community all over Salesforce. I've been at Buildforce meetings in Atlanta, and that was an amazing experience, but I'm based in Dublin. I'm obviously an ally, but I'm here to represent, we actually represent the entire African diaspora, which is wonderful. And all are welcome. And really what I want to say to you about Buildforce is we create programs with the aim of empowering youth and all adults really to get the same access to education, to opportunities, to technology, and to feel the support from people here in Ireland, because it's very important that we can give that. And to be honest, it feels like a family that they will never get rid of me. So that's what it feels like to be an ally in Buildforce. So to get to the point of what we're talking about today, the power of mentoring, you'll see a quote from one of my heroes. A mentor is someone who allows you to see the hope inside yourself. I think that's a wonderful way of putting it. And today, this is your opportunity to grab a mentor who hopefully will connect you not just through advice and guidance of what you can and can't do to get a job or to move forward in your career, but to also connect. Like if we go to the next slide, Emily, or I can't remember who's from it. This is Rafaela, who I was a mentor through another program in Buildforce called Meanwhile, and it's a minority group for women to give them mentoring. So I was matched with Rafaela, who is a 19-year-old from Limerick, has been in Ireland since about a year and a half. And it was all during lockdown. And you might think, oh God, is this going to be a real professional situation? And I have to turn up on a video call wearing my suit. Yeah, you can maybe for an interview, but in this scenario, I want people to feel that they can connect to normal people. Hopefully we're relatively normal. But Rafaela and myself built a connection over 3 months. We had a session every week at the beginning and then every 2 weeks as she got into her flow. And we were talking about tips for her CV. We were talking about LinkedIn tips, but then even tips down to the network in graphic design. And that's why she talked to me, because I have a background in that. And we ended up, even by the end of it, getting her a scholarship through some connections in the Digital Marketing Institute. And she graduated from that in January. And it's something that I will never forget, because actually I got as much from Rafaela as she got from me, because she was very, very brave and had a determination to just show how great she is to Ireland, and she's starting to do that. And that's something that I hope the people on this call feel inspired to do. So it's my good intention for everyone here that you hear this inspiring stories from Brigid and everyone else on this call to help you just sign up, do it, come and talk to us. And yeah, I hope that you make wonderful connections and that this leads to a great opportunity for you. So that's it for me. And I'll pass it over. I can't remember who's next.
It's Emma. So we're going to move to the start of our panel. If we could move to the next slide. So we've got some incredible speakers today. We would introduce them, but they're just so freaking awesome that they're going to introduce themselves and say it as no one else can do better. So we're going to start with Nadja to give a quick intro of yourself and then pass along the line as we see here. And then our incredible moderator, Adima from APNI, is going to ask you all some tough questions on mentoring.
Great, super. Yeah, so I'm Nadja Darcy. From my accent and my name, you'll probably guess. So I am French German, but I've lived in Ireland for nearly more than 20 years now. So I've always worked in the software industry for now more than 20 years. I'm working in Salesforce for 13 years also. And what I do is I lead the ESMB. So ESMB is we work with startup and scale up within a certain market. So I lead the sales team that is dedicated to the startup and scale up, covering the territories of Central Europe. And within Central Europe, what you have is Germany, Switzerland, Austria, and the Eastern European countries. Our goal, and that's what I always said, that's our motto, is our mission as a team is to really hire the best talent in the market, bring them into Salesforce Dublin, and then really teach them in the art of complex selling so that they can develop themselves and then really grow their career within Salesforce. The way I've done it, I've joined as an individual contributor, and 13 years down the line, I'll lead a whole organization. And really that is our mission, is to hire the talent, teach them and develop them so that they can also experience and be the future leaders of Salesforce in the future. So that's for me, and I'm really looking forward to this discussion.
Fabulous. We're going to come next to you, Chris.
Yes. Yeah. Good evening, everyone, and it's a pleasure to be on this platform. Thank you very much for all the good work you're doing here. So I'm Chris Kanwei. I'm currently based in the UK, London, and I work for Aviva. As is indicated in my profile, I'm currently Associate Director, leading research and strategy focused on European real assets. And by real assets, that's actually a broad range of investments, so incorporating infrastructure, or what you might call project finance, real estate, structured finance, and real estate long income. So it's a very broad range of specialized illiquid assets, as we call it. So I kicked off my career back in Ireland at Bank of Ireland. So technically, I've worked across a range of financial institutions, so I have broad experience across the financial landscape. So from corporate banking to asset management, investment banking, and now investment management within insurance. So that's a sort of quite a deep breadth and depth of experience across financial services. I suppose, yeah, I'm quite happy to be on this platform, to be able to sort of provide the benefit of my experience, you know, being able to sort of navigate the Irish market and also navigating the British market to, you know, achieve success, or at least get myself to the point where I am today. And just looking forward to connect with various individuals, you know, at the individual level, and pass on whatever experience and knowledge that I have. And also looking to also receive, I mean, because it's a two-way street. So you're giving, and you're also getting back. So yeah, I look forward to that, especially learning, you know, new enterprising things from you know, the young people. There's so much enterprise in them, and just that fearlessness and ability to take risks. I think sometimes the older folks need that too, you know, sort of inject that new and fresh blood into our own bones. So yeah, looking forward to that sort of a mutual benefit.
That sounds brilliant, thank you. And reading your profile, there's some really interesting quotes there that we're going to come and question you on later in our panel. Amy, I'm going to come over to you next to give us an intro.
Thanks, Emily. Hi, everyone. Great to be here this evening. My name is Ashlyn Mccaffrey. So I work in financial services advisory in Thornton, Ireland. I've been in this space for the last 9 years or so, working consulting, but in the last probably 18 months to 2 years, I've kind of transitioned over with more of a sustainability focused lens on the work that I do, which is great because it's probably an area that I'm quite passionate about. So yeah, nice to kind of start in terms of career progression to start aligning much more to, I guess, my own core values. So yeah, really excited to be part of this in terms of work-wise, working financial services. And then outside of that, I am part of a couple of different initiatives. So I'm a diversity and inclusion workstream lead on FinBase. It's an Irish task force looking to address the SDGs. And I'm also a co-founder of a network, the Green Team Network, that looks to connect firms across the asset management industry to kind of promote sustainability and just encourage conversation. So yeah, again, really excited to be part of this initiative. Have had some amazing mentors over the course of my career. I think it's really important to build those connections and get the benefit of learning from other people. So yeah, excited to take part.
And incredibly humble that you even let me down with butchering your name. Apologies. Can you tell I've been in Ireland for like 1 year? The joy of being in lockdown, I haven't had much practice, but no, we're hugely excited to have you, especially with that mixed background that you come with. Franklin, you represent our student body. We're super excited to have you, and we're excited to hear about some of the really cool things that you're working on. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Hey guys, good evening. Sorry, can you hear me first of all?
We can indeed, loud and clear.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Franklin Lukason. I am a master's bioengineering student in Trinity College, Dublin. So I finished my bachelor's degree last year, and I went straight into the master's for an integrated master's. So it's only 1 year. Currently, I'm working on a research thesis on tissue engineering in the cornea. So it's kind of corneal epithelial research. There's no really technical details to get into, but all I can say it's hard, very, very hard. But yeah, I don't have much industry experience at all, as I am still a student, but in my spare time, I do write blogs, and I also do a bit of powerlifting on the side.
That's brilliant. Well, we're looking forward to having all of our voices here today so we can talk about what mentoring means and what people are looking forward to in the program. Brigid, I'm going to come to you next. Can you give us an intro of you, and then I'm going to pass to Aviva to start you off with some tough questions.
Yeah, thanks. And it's great to be here as well. And looking forward to this is actually one of the first
sessions like this I've done in Ireland. So I suppose a little bit about me. I am Ghanaian through and through, always, and but Ireland has been home for the last probably number of years. I won't even share that to tell you how old I am, but it's been for a long time. Ireland is home. So similar to Nadja, I run I look after the UK for, we work with those small businesses, the startup scale up. So it's probably a team of about probably 200 salespeople. And if you asked me, you know, if someone looked and said, would Brigid ever end up in sales? They would have laughed at you and said no. I was that person in college where you couldn't get me to speak up, didn't have a voice, didn't want to present. So literally falling into sales was definitely something that other mentors and people around me actually showed me the way in what we had. So I realized what it was is if you enjoy and you're good with people, sales is probably something that you can do. So looking forward to talking to you about some of our experiences, and yeah, that's me. Quick intro.
Wow, amazing. We have a great lineup of speakers today. Listening to your career journey, I'm really impressed and inspired. And to be someone at an entry level, to have senior leaders like yourself, Brigid, Chris, Ashley, and Nadja. Frankly, I know you'll get there someday. You know, it's really inspiring to see how far you've journeyed so far and where you are today. And I'm looking forward to having a great conversation with you all today. Just before we start, I'm going to set up the terms, or rather, I should introduce myself. I'm Aviva. I'm the membership director here at APNI. So I have already mentioned what we do. I run the mentorship initiative with my other team members and colleagues as well. So just gonna set the terms for the conversation. All our panelists today are here in professional capacity. However, I would like to mention that their opinion and their views are clearly theirs and does not represent their that of their employer. So please, I know questions that I will ask will be directed to each panelist, each person, but please feel free to share your opinion, feel free to share your thoughts as we get on. So I'm going to start with you, Chris. May you demystify mentorship? And this is a concept that a lot of people don't take, should I say, intentional action towards. May you demystify the concept of mentorship? What are the misconceptions that people have around the mentor-mentee relationship?
Thank you, Edema, for the question. And also thanks for the disclaimer earlier on. Yeah, so I suppose it's a great point to kick off this conversation. And just as a very quick rundown in terms of definition, I suppose, again, it's appropriate to start from, you know, the definition of mentoring. And I looked up the Oxford Dictionary, and it goes, the practice. So mentoring is the practice of helping and advising a less experienced person over a period of time, especially as part of a formal program in a company, university, you know, et cetera, so various formal settings. And I sort of brought out identified three key elements in that definition. And the first element being, there's a help and advice. And the second element being the experience element. So it's a question of someone with more experience, presumably more experience, you know, working with someone with less experience. And then also it says over a period of time. So there's a time element to it. So mentoring may not necessarily, whilst it may go on for a lifetime, I suppose with individual mentors, it could be, you know, over a finite life, put it that way. So as was mentioned earlier on, it could be 3 months, 6 months, a year, you know, just until you feel you've achieved what you've initially set out to achieve. So on that basis, I kind of look at mentoring in terms of my own definition, or a mentor in this regard, as being someone who, you know, is there to provide guidance, advice, and support, you know, in order to enable another individual to sort of achieve their, you know, career potential. So it takes into account understanding that individual and the challenges they are facing and then providing advice, sort of centered or focused around that understanding of the problem, whilst, leveraging your own individual personal experiences. And I'd say a good example of that is in my own situation. I've gone through some very peculiar situations through my career. And what that has given me is, the sort of experience or insight into navigating various situations, particularly those formal work situations. Or even if you have a challenging colleague you're working with or a challenging boss, any sort of situation that might present a challenge or sort of hamper, hinder, or at least enable you to accelerate your career. I think I've sort of come across, various types of scenarios that puts me in strong position to be able to assist someone else who's probably coming behind to sort of navigate their own, navigate around those difficult situations.
Yeah.
Coming to what I consider to be some of the challenges or misconception, I think that perhaps there are a number of them, but I'll just focus on one, which I believe to be the biggest one. And that's the idea that the mentor is there to replicate him or herself in the mentee. I think a lot of people get that wrong, trying to sort of beat yourself or your own characteristics into another individual isn't really the essence of mentoring. As I alluded to earlier on, it's really about the help and advice, helping the mentee to develop that awareness, knowledge, and confidence to be able to navigate whatever situation, is presented before them. And with that, obviously going, above and beyond, being able to sort of reach their potential and feel confident that they can do whatever they've set out to achieve.
Yeah, thanks so much. That was a very comprehensive answer. I like the point you made about the mentor not replicating himself or herself in the mentee, which points me to this question to Brigid. I know you shared earlier on in your story that you got into sales because the mentors saw something unique in you. Sales wasn't something you thought about, but you had mentors who saw that ability and capability in you and propelled you into that direction. So what does being a mentor mean to you? And maybe you can also add, due to COVID, we've seen that a lot of interactions have been moved virtually. How can one build a mentor-mentee relationship in today's world?
Yeah, and I think, you know what? And I think about this a lot because, and it sounds like when you say, it's about having impact, but it genuinely is, because when I think about the impact and where I am today and the opportunities I've had and how I've grown, I've taken that from different people that have spent the time with me to understand me, understand areas that I was strong in or could develop, and helped me find and forge that path. So for me, I really feel it's important that I now am in a position that I would also like to do that for other people. And it really is rewarding around that. And I actually enjoy it because it's not just about, helping someone else achieve their own goals. I'm also learning a lot from that, and I'm getting different perspectives. So for me, that's what it means to me, is just giving back to others to also form their own path and where that needs to go, because we're definitely in a world where, and I suffered it myself as well, where you don't have the confidence in certain things, you don't believe it's possible. You need to just have people that are going to help you figure out who you are and what you can be. And I think it's really important to have that guide. And I think a mentor can play very different roles. They can help you with giving certain information, but they can also help you guide or be that counsel person that you talk to around certain things. So that's what it means to me, is to give that back and help. And I actually think it's become easier in the virtual world actually to have access to people and people's time through mentoring. I feel the last couple of years, we've definitely seen that, because there's been a shift into this physical world or how we interact and meet. And we've seen a lot more people have time to make time for certain things online. And one of the areas I've seen is social channels like LinkedIn or various different media channels that we have are opportunities to find someone that is like-minded or post an article or something that you're interested in. You know, they're looking for that feedback or the opportunity to connect with people. So you can also find mentors through that as well. So I actually think through the pandemic, it's made it easier for us to access people or have information or research who might be a potential mentor that we can potentially connect in through different groups on social channels like LinkedIn as well. So I definitely think it's an area that's made it more accessible for us.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. The pandemic, we've had to do a lot of unlearning and relearning in terms of the way we behave and interact with people. Yeah, and I'm just gonna come to you, Nadja, there. When you were a young professional, and just to piggyback from what Brigid said as well, when you're young, you lack confidence, you're almost like guidance as well. I wonder, when you were younger, did you have any challenge? Did you face any situation where you felt a mentor would have been very instrumental in terms of providing guidance or being a sounding board for you?
Yes, definitely. So I think it's there is when you start your career, and I think that was definitely the case for me. I was someone that was I was driven. I knew I wanted to learn, and I also always had that feeling that I wanted to prove myself. Especially I still want to prove myself all the time. But when you're young, you kind of really, especially when it's your first experience, you really kind of challenge yourself a lot more. But the way I approached it, and that's because I didn't have the experience, and also back then, because we're talking 20 years plus, I would say, but there wasn't that real knowledge of mentorship. It wasn't as common as, or we didn't speak as much about it as we talk today. So the way I used to approach my career and my self-development was with a lot more naivety. So the way I used to think, it was, well, for me to be able to get recognition and also get progression within my career, what I need to do is I need to execute on my job and execute on the task and overachieve those tasks. And then everything else will come. And what I've realized then, however, with a little bit more experience, I realized that recognition and your growth in terms of development, but also in terms of career, can not only depend on what you do and how you do it or how well you do it. What you will need to do is you will need to situate yourself. You will need to have some self-awareness. I think self-awareness is extremely important to understand. And then you will also need to understand where you're at now, what are your midterm goals and what are your long-term goals. And that's where a mentor becomes very, very, very important, because they play a role really important there. As Chris mentioned, you know, mentor is often someone that is a little bit more experienced than you, and they will come with their experience that they're going to leverage to give you the guidance on your career or also your life, because, you know, a mentor is not only career-based, it can also be on your life. And they will help you for the now, but also for your future. And coming back to your question, I think it's if I had very early on understood the importance of a mentor, I probably would have, you know, started earlier in setting very strong career goals that I wanted to achieve. And then a mentor would have probably held me accountable in making sure that I reach the goals that I want to achieve, because that's one of the rules of a mentor, it's to hold yourself accountable. I probably would have gained also a lot more confidence, and that's, I'm relating back to what Brigid said, because they're there to support your growth, they're there to support your development, and that gives you then confidence. And then probably would have also pushed me out of my comfort zone, because that's what a mentor does. He knows where you're at, he knows where you want to go, he also understands what are some of the things that you're not really comfortable with, but they challenge you to try and overcome them so that you can keep growing. And then ultimately, I also think one of the important things from a mentor is that a mentor comes with a set of connections. So a mentor probably earlier on would have probably also helped me a lot more with my network, and network for your own development and also for your career growth is really, really important. It's not only performance. Performance is always very good, but who you know, the brand that you have within an organization is also really, really important to make sure that you can grow and attain your goals.
Wow, that was such a rich nugget. So 3 things I got from the mentor: accountability, influences you, helps to build your confidence, comes with a network? Because obviously when you're a junior, you have them. For me, it takes a while to build that network, but with a mentor, you know, you quickly have that access. So I'm gonna come to you, Ashlyn, there. What pardon me, in terms of your career, who has been an influence in your career, and what makes you consider them a mentor?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's been a variety of people, because I think as I've gone through my career, I've kind of had there's been different challenges. I've gone through different paths in terms of, you know, what I've been interested in and what I wanted to kind of go after. So I think I've been really lucky that I've had access to, there's been a couple of different people that have kind of helped shape that. But in terms of maybe consistency and kind of the long-term nature of it, I guess one of the partners here actually in GT, who would have originally started as my kind of performance manager, so it started in that kind of formal space. I think we just developed a really good relationship, and that definitely turned into what I would class as a pretty strong mentoring relationship. So, you know, I wasn't just talking about in that kind of static, like, what are the goals for the year and how are you going to get them in a client facing way. It was much more about, like, a lot more feedback on how I was developing as an individual, really highlighting what my strengths were, and that piece that we said about confidence, somebody that can see that in you and actually call it out is really powerful, I think, because, you know, we can, as we're going through our career, there's certain things that we'll recognize, you know, if we work on a project and it does really well, like, okay, great, we've done a good job. But having someone actually take a step back and say to you, like, you know what, this is one of the things you're really good at, and here's a skill, kind of like what Brigid said, you know, you're really good with people, and this is how it's useful in this scenario, and kind of gives you those tips to help you almost sell yourself as you're progressing. I think that's definitely been like what's been really valuable to me. So yeah, that's been probably my best mentoring experience, but there's been lots of different people along the way over different periods of time. So a couple of months or maybe 1 or 2 meetings that I've gotten so much value out of. And it's just about knowing what it is that you want, and building that kind of trust and relationship, I guess, to be honest.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned the word trust in your points, because that's where it comes from. You barely would open up to someone who you don't trust. But yeah. I think Nadja says somebody who champions your success, who wants you to succeed and all, you would be willing to share more about your goals, your aspirations with the person once you know that the purpose of this relationship, because sometimes, let's be honest, in relationships, people have ulterior motive, but I believe as a mentor, the only motive that you have is the success, to champion the success of the mentee. So once a mentee feels that, should I say, that psychological safety, you know, there the relationship becomes fruitful. And another thing you did mention, I'm going to come to Brigid and Nadja, is that you did mention you didn't have one mentor, you had several mentors. So Nadja and Brigid, can you just share what are your thoughts in terms of this mentorship thing? Do you just have one person where you go to, or you have a variety, what I call a board of directors, not really directors, but a board of trustees, where you can pick their brains, you know, ask questions if you're being challenged in any way? I'll let you answer that.
Will Nadja, I don't know, do you want to go or will I go?
Go ahead.
I think it varies for me. I think there's plenty. I have some customers over the years that are mentors, and I think it depends on where I probably need help or areas where certain people might be strong. So I think that's, for me, has varied over the years, and I think there are at all different stages or different types of roles that people have. And for me, that's really it, that sometimes I feel I'm the type of person that needs counsel, where I need to talk things through. And sometimes there's areas that I know I'm really strong at, but there's other areas that, you know, they're just always going to be there, and we have those areas. So I try and align to people that I see are really strong in those things. And that could be people that have incredible communication skills. So if that's it, I'll align to someone around that and figure out how they invest in that, how they get there. So I think for me, it varies, and it depends, you know, on the situation and what I'm trying to get out of that to help me grow myself. So that's normally where I'll align to.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree, and I think it depends on at what stage of your career you're in as well. You know, I think it's once you're at a certain level within your career and you have gained a certain experience, the mentor relationship that you're going, the mentee-mentor relationship that you're going to have might not be as frequent, you know, as especially when you had them for quite a long duration of time. It might not be as frequent. Whereas when you're very early on in your career, you know, you might need a mentorship that is more, you know, where you have like monthly catch up or maybe bi-weekly catch ups, etc., because you really have a clear goal that you want to get to. And but what I still want to kind of maybe highlight, I think it's important to have the right mentor for the right aspect of what you want to develop. You know, it can be professional, it can be in your personal life, it can be depending on different skills, etc. However, what I would like to advise everyone is to really be still very mindful, because when you engage in that trusted relationship, which I love Ashlyn saying, but when you engage in that trusted relationship with your mentor, it is extremely time consuming. The role of that relationship that you will have with your mentor is, you know, you have a goal, you set yourself you set yourself milestone to get to that goal, and you need to be accountable to that. So it is extremely time consuming, and with every single mentor that you will have different set of priorities and goals that you will address. So it's also really important to know that, you know, sometimes it's not the mass that is the most important, but sometimes it's maybe few might be best for you, if I explain myself correctly.
Yes. I like that. I tend to think, you know, there is a saying that says a problem half shared is half solved, but I believe a problem shared with the right person is half solved, because you don't want to go share with someone who is. So I'm going to come to Franklin there. At this stage where you are, Franklin, can you share what attributes you would be looking for in a mentor? That's one question. I'm going to compound this. And in terms of mentorship, is this something have you intentionally thought about going out to seek mentors? Or do you think it's important to do that?
Yeah, so to answer your first question, in terms of what I would look for in a potential mentor, I'd say the most important thing for me is someone who is understanding, because kind of when you're in educational environments such as this one, there's no shortage of smart people. There's no shortage of people who are excellent at what they do. So I think the people who really stand out are the people who are understanding, who are able to kind of see your situation and then give you advice and their opinion based on your situation. Because sometimes what happens is that you'll tell someone your situation and then they will just kind of throw a motivational quote at you, or they would just say something, kind of give wisdom, if that makes sense. But what I would want in a mentor is someone who really listens and someone who also understands and can give advice based on the different contours of my situation, and someone who I can also have a kind of relationship with, obviously a professional relationship, but someone who it doesn't feel static when I'm talking to them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And for the second part of the question, in terms of have I sought out a mentor? Yes, I have sought out a mentor. I've had a few mentors in different aspects of my life. My most recent mentor, we finished our relationship in, I think, December of last year. And he was a careers mentor kind of towards my field in bioengineering. He wasn't a bioengineer. He was I think a quality engineer. So we just kind of spoke about different aspects of that. And he spoke to me a lot about career progression. He spoke to me about my goals, the things that I would like to achieve, the things that I'm doing to achieve them. And he also spoke to me about kind of how I go about my work. I think that was very big. He said, like, he mentioned that how you go about your work is just as important as the work itself, because it defines the outcome, if that makes sense. So he got me to look very closely at my processes and how I do things and how I think as well. And it's just things like that I feel that are really important, where they don't just throw advice at you, they kind of monitor you, look at what you do and how you do, and then give you advice based on you yourself.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's another sounding what I hear from accountability, someone who checks on you, the quality of your work as well. And I suppose I'm going to ask anyone from the panel can take this question because this wasn't planned. What's the difference between a coach, a mentor and a sponsor. Sponsor is something it could be maybe just me. Not a lot of people are very much aware in the professional and corporate world that there's something called sponsorship. And I remember somebody about completing their tasks. I think Nadja said something about getting your job done. But I found that sometimes maybe a sponsor could be someone who champions or shouts about your work to another person when you're not there. So could you, maybe Chris, I can come to you because you haven't spoken in a while. Just tell us who a sponsor is and who a coach is.
Yes, thank you very much. Very briefly, before I get to that, there was something burning in my chest which I wanted to get out, and which sort of supports the view from Brigid and Nadja, including Franklin, on the role of the mentor. And this is a great experience that I've had in my own career, which I wanted to share, which is the fact that it's good to have a blend in terms of having a variety of mentors. It helps you to sort of, get that balanced view. Either it's for your career or the way that you view society. And a good example in my case was I did have a mentor at one time. And I basically, and he works in finance. I mean, and I was in finance too. And I said to him, look, what do I need to do to sort of move to the next level? And one of the things I was thinking about was professional qualifications. I wasn't a qualified accountant at the time. And then it was actually I who suggested this. And I said, what do you think about, if I put in and start doing the professional exams? And I remember him saying, and this is again, out of the best of intentions, right? But he said, no, I don't think you need that. Yeah, you just be fine, you're good, just carry on. I'm sure you get to where you go. Then maybe a couple of years or so down the line, I realized that I found it a little bit difficult, challenging for certain roles because, and you have to understand this, and this is peculiar to UK and Ireland, in the whole of Europe. It's very peculiar to UK and Ireland. If you really want to progress your career in finance, it's not enough to have a master's degree in finance or economics or business. You have to be a qualified accountant or you have to be a chartered financial analyst. I'm sure Ashlyn can probably, attest to that, being part of GT. So I really just sort of took the bull by the horn. And once I qualified, I realized that the amount of open doors was just incredible. So that's just one clear example. And not because I got bad advice, but it was just a question of someone obviously dealing out of best, good intentions, but at the same time, maybe not actually, or maybe lacking a little bit of where the market is at, and this is something that, we can deal with if we have that sort of balance where you can get a view from this side and then you can get a view from someone else. And then you sort of match that up and see how does that sort of fit in with the market or the environment that you're in. And then coming quickly to your question there, and I'll do my best to just sum it up very quickly. So I think the key difference there between coaching and mentoring is, for one, coaching can be sort of very performance driven or performance specific. So it's focused on improving your performance. Typically immediate, your immediate performance around your job. For example, those in sales, I think coaching works quite a lot. Sales and customer service will be one area where coaching, obviously, you can sort of get that tangible benefit either on a week-to-week basis or month-to-month or quarter-to-quarter basis. Whereas mentoring, on the other hand, is sort of more holistic. So it's more long-term career sort of driven, career focus. So I think that that's the primary difference between coaching and mentoring. Now, in the case of sponsor, now that again is very, very specific. And I think sponsor would be more sort of, focused or relevant in the professional environment. So in a work setting, whereby you have someone who will sort of be, someone at a management level or a more senior level who will have your back. you know, and you know, they will throw your hat in when there are those opportunities come up, you know, whether it's a management meeting and they say, oh, you know what, why don't we give that fella a chance? Or why don't we give that individual this opportunity? Or why don't we put so-and-so on this project? So sponsors play a very, very key role. And they're probably, if we want to put them, say, on sort of a hierarchical level, you probably have the coach down below, you have the mentor in the middle, and then you have the sponsor at the top. Sometimes, or I suppose in most cases, the mentor may also be the sponsor. In some cases, it's not. But I suppose if it is, then it really just bridges that gap and kind of help accelerate an individual's career.
Yeah, I really love that story. Thanks for sharing your story about the mentor advice and all. And this is one thing, I think another misconception that maybe young people may have is a mentor would make a decision for you. But can I come to you, Brigid, please? Could you tell us some of the gains a mentee can get from a mentor? And also, because in a way that the mentee still owns responsibility for their actions and decisions?
Yeah, I think the main gains are just in terms, I think for a lot of things is just bringing focus maybe into certain things that you want to do, you know, where you prioritize, because that's sometimes what it's about, right? You're looking to say kind of, sometimes people are certain in terms of, like, some people are super clear. This is my goal, this is my direction, I'm going here, right? Whereas other people are unsure and they need some guidance around that. So I think sometimes what they can get out of that is, you know, to Franklin's point, it could be someone that listens to understand, and then someone that then helps once they frame that to help guide and give that focus. So I think that's probably the benefit I'd see from the, you know, the mentees that get from that.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Ashley, I'm going to come to you. A lot of our audience would be coming to the mentoring process for the first time. What advice could you give to a mentee to say how could they approach a mentor or a mentoring relationship? Say, for instance, I know for sure there were senior leaders we didn't take, I wanted to speak to, and I just drafted a message and boom, sent it on LinkedIn, and I got a lot of no's. So maybe somebody's out there shot their shot but didn't get any response. So could you give us like tips, tricks, guidance as to if we saw someone that we admire their career path? Because essentially mentorship is about the experience, like Chris says. How can a mentee approach a mentor?
I think it's a great question. It's tough, you know, especially if you're going to looking at people that are in senior roles. You know, people are busy, so like I think part of it is patience. It's also not rushing into what it is you're asking of the person. So I think if you can lead with an initial conversation, whether it's, you know, you do this, maybe it's in the industry that you work in, and it's just showing the fact that you're interested in what they do and that you want to learn a little bit more about them. So maybe it's not a case of, you know, messaging someone and saying, hey, will you be my mentor? I'm already signing up to commitments, and I don't know I might not know who you are. It's maybe different if I have a relationship with somebody maybe in work, it's casual, and that's how it progresses. But if we're talking about like messaging someone that you've never met before because, you know, you admire what they do, I think you have to be careful about just reaching out to someone saying, hey, will you be my mentor? Because you're already asking them to jump, you know, headlong into a commitment. And if they're good at what they do, and they've maybe mentored in the past, I know, like say in my case, I want to give time to that. So like I'll be considering if someone just sends me a message like that, I'd be like, okay, what like I don't want to just rush into something and be like, yeah, no worries. Like, because to me it's as we were talking about before, it's building a relationship and building trust. So maybe a different approach to it is more so about just trying to build that initial communication and ask in a slightly different way, where it's more that you're asking about, you know, it'd be great to have like 20 minutes with you to understand like how you got to where you are in your career. If somebody messaged me something like that I can, you know, I can do 20 minutes, half an hour, and then, you know, off the back of that, maybe that's where you start building your relationship based on the conversation and it progresses. So I think there's a piece here, as we were saying, about building trust and all of that kind of stuff. And if you get to the point where that, you know, it's golden and maybe somebody comes back and they say, absolutely, yes, I'm totally up for this, then you need to go into that, you know, prepare, do a little bit of homework, think about what it is that you're looking to get out of this in terms of your own kind of goals, or maybe that's what you need help with, but just to kind of be clear on that communication, I guess. I don't know if that helps.
Yes. I get that. There's a question from an audience that actually did ask how to approach a mentor and not feel like the mentor has an additional work to do. So I definitely get that. You know, mentors, senior leaders are very busy, so they want things, or they want to engage with things that are valuable with their time. So yes, I think I want to come to you, Nadja, there. So how personal should your relationship with a mentor be? This is a question from the audience. I'm just looking at the Q&A now. I think this is from Sewa. So how do you draw the line between what do you share and, you know, how can you define, I think essentially, how do you define that relationship?
Well, you know, I mean, I think, to be honest, it's so every time I'm being asked, you know, if I can be someone's mentor, I always look if there's a personality fit. And so that's one of the things for the mentee and also for myself, because the goal of a real relationship as a mentorship, it needs to be authentic. And you know, I need to also make sure that I will have an impact on that person's life. So, I mean, I think for me, the relationship that you have with your mentor, it depends on what type of mentorship it is. If it's within your organization and, you know, it's someone that is with more experience or leader within your organization, I truly believe that there you will probably need to, even though you have an open and trusted conversation with them where you share some of the challenges you have, etc. I mean, you will probably still need to remain somehow professional because you're still in a work environment. However, if you have a mentor, which is more kind of from a personal perspective and it's outside of your working environment, you know, I mean, from my point of view is that, you know, mentorship that go really, really well and for a long period of time can turn into friendship as well. And that's why you have, so it really depends on who your mentor is and in what situation it actually is.
Yes. I love that question. Again, it depends on the goal that you have at the back of your mind. Is it personal or is it professional? And then drilling down to what you're hoping to achieve. So I'm gonna ask the audience now, because I feel I've run out of my questions. So guys, unmute yourself, or you can use the chat box to ask questions. I see 3 questions so far here. Okay, I have one here. Over my career, I've had different kinds of mentors, active ones who follow my journey and one you reach out to for specific issues. May we please explore that, please? I think we've already answered this, but the question I can get out of this is, does a mentor need to follow the mentee's journey, or how far does the mentor follow the journey of the mentee?
I think it's similar to what we were saying, or maybe what I was saying about having like a range of different mentors over the course of my career. And I definitely have people which, I don't know whether I call them mentors or advisors, or maybe it's all the same thing, but there's definitely specific people that I'll go to if there's something that comes up that I want help with. And then there's other people where, and maybe this is where, as Nadja says, it has kind of formed more of a friendship now. Like we've gotten to that stage where that person is very much invested in my progress and what I'm doing and wants to keep track of what's going on. So I think that's just the nature of sometimes how the relationship develops, and it's okay to have, well, in my view, to have a mixture of everything. There's no real kind of, you know, one defined way, as long as you know, it's good kind of honest communication and both people are kind of benefiting from it, I guess.
Yes, completely agree. There's definitely benefits from both parts. And I'm gonna come to Nadja. What benefits are there for a mentor in terms of the relationship? Because sometimes a mentee might feel shy or timid in the sense that, oh, I'm quite junior, I don't think I can provide value to a mentor. So could you just give maybe 1 or 2 points quickly as to what benefits there may be?
Yeah, I mean, I think for a mentor, first is it gives you that reward, that deeper appreciation of the value that you can offer. So when someone asks you to be their mentor, then you know that you've gained that experience, that someone respects you within the organization for that, and that you can bring that knowledge to other people within the organization. So that's, I think it's really rewarding, and it's really satisfying to know that you can share your experiences and give back in some kind of way. And the other point that I would really say, and that's what I keep saying to everyone in my team, which are quite young professionals starting their career, is that I always think that we can learn new perspective. I mean, I think from every single interaction you have, even though you are the mentor, you can still learn from others. So from every single mentorship where I played the mentor role, I've always learned from the individuals that I was speaking with. And so I think it's rewarding in both ways. I'm bringing them something, but they're also having an impact on me.
Yeah, awesome. Franklin, I'm going to come to you lastly. As someone who wants to use your master's to springboard your career, thanks for sharing all the cool things that you're working on at the moment. How or what support do you think a mentor can provide for you tangibly that can help champion your goals?
I think one of the main ones, I think like everyone has said so far, would be advice, just specifically because going into the field of bioengineering, I'm very inexperienced. So I would like someone who would just be able to point me in the right direction with certain things and to help me out with certain processes as well, just kind of getting set up and getting organized with work. So definitely advice would be one of them. And say in terms of, I know myself, sometimes I tend to get ahead of myself. So someone who will be able to kind of bring me down to ground level and help me understand certain things first before I go ahead. So that advice aspect is very important. Connections as well is very important. Someone who will be able to connect me to different places and different people. Someone who would say my name in the right places to get me things, well, not necessarily things, but to kind of uplift me in certain areas. So that would be another one as well. Just kind of someone who can connect me to the right people.
Yes, definitely. I completely agree. Being inexperienced means sort of you lack guidance. For myself, initially at my career stage, I would have appreciated having a mentor to help me navigate some of the hurdles that I'd gone through. Thankfully, for now, I believe a mentor is someone that shortens your journey for you. And I also think of a mentor as someone who, an extra brain, to pick, an extra ear, an extra mouth and an extra eye. So I do have one question that I think is very important, and we'll end the panel discussion. As mentors on the panel, maybe 1 minute for everybody. As mentors on the panel, yes, how would you describe your personal style? So I'll start with you, Brigid, and then over to Nadja, then Chris and Ashlyn, and we'll finish.
Couple of words. I'd say my personal style is I try and be as authentic as possible, because then I'm myself as much as possible. So that is my style, but I am a passionate, driven, focused person as well, but I try and do that my way and what makes sense for me, so that I'm not trying to be something else that I'm not. So yeah, that would be my style.
Awesome. Nadja, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, I would say authentic as well. And I make sure that, I don't accept every mentorship, because I need to make sure that I'm going to be fully committed. And I'm not going to accept to be a mentor if I know I will not be fully committed. So, and that goes back to the trust piece from Ashlyn. And then I would just say, I think I care. My style would really be, I like to listen and also have an impact on the people that I partner up with.
Yeah, definitely. Commitment is very important as well in mentor-mentee relationship. Yes, Ashlyn, over to you, please.
Yeah, I guess that's my personal style. It's just that piece around building that kind of open communication. So like having conversations, pushing things around to try and reframe and help shape kind of whatever we're talking about in terms of if it's a hurdle or something, into that kind of advice piece to kind of look for solutions, I guess, is what I do in my day job. But that kind of translates over into a mentoring relationship. And I think, yeah, just everything Nadja and Brigid said, like, it's about being yourself, it's about being authentic. I think people see through you pretty quickly, and I think that applies in a professional context as well. The more you can be comfortable with who you are and how you approach things and translate that into your work, I think the more successful you are in totality. So yeah, I'll stop.
Yeah, awesome. Chris?
Right, so I think for me, my strength really is on the fact that I have traveled the road. And, you know, when you've traveled the road and you've had, you know, your car break down at various points, you know, you're able to sort of, you know, you get all of the signposts and all the landmarks. And so for a lot of people who are like me, coming through me, I think it's just about the realism, being realistic and being totally down to earth. And as I said, I can just say, you know, I'm sure when you get to this junction, you know, you're going to have to make a decision as to whether you go left or go right. I think that's pretty much what I bring to the table. That's my unique selling point. So for a number of you, yes, I have traveled the road, and I say that with all confidence.
Yes, definitely. There is a Chinese saying. I know I'm African. We do a lot of proverbs where we come from. So it's better to ask questions from those people who are just coming back from the journey, you know, and just makes the journey shorter for you. And that's the importance of mentorship, you know. It's just someone who listens to you, someone who provides that guidance. That I think guidance has been the core word we've talked about today. Guidance, confidence, advice, you know, someone who's gone through the steps, you know, so you don't go, there's no point making a mistake where someone else has made and learned. Easier to learn from the person. So thank you so much for the amazing, insightful conversations today. And I'm just gonna share how you can access mentorship on APNI. So we've done the Q&A, sorry. So on APNI, we do have 2 mentoring opportunities, which Chris and Ashlyn, thankfully, are mentors as well. So we do have the one-to-one generic mentoring session on APNI. So that means you hop on APNI platform, you book time with Ashlyn or with Chris or the other mentors that we have. Any question that you have, it has to do with your career development, personal development, you want to mock interview preparation or something, whatever the case may be, whatever support you need for your career, we have cohorts of mentors who are from different backgrounds. We did talk about mentors having experience. There's no point going to speak to a mentor who is from a medical profession when you're looking for a career in sales. So we do have mentors like Ashlyn and Chris who are available there on apni.ie, where you can book free time. It's definitely free. And you don't have to physically be there. It's hassle-free. Like Brigid said earlier on, with technology these days, we found ways to do things differently. You can just video conference through Zoom like we've done today, but then it's just going to be tailored to you as a mentee, whatever support you may need or whatever guidance you may need. We do also have the career acceleration mentoring, which in partnership with Salesforce and Boldforce will be launching in April. And I'm going to pass that over to Emily. Emily, to speak more about the program.
Thanks, Fatima, and thank you so much to our panelists. I've really learned a lot today. We could just bounce to the next slide. So we've got a couple of things just to share with you to kind of tease you into the program that's coming. So in partnership with APNI, Salesforce Boldforce is going to be running a career acceleration mentoring program. This is a 3-month program where we have volunteer members from our professional group here within Salesforce who will run sessions every couple of weeks to meet one-on-one with their mentees. We'll be providing guides and materials. So for those of you who are asking questions on how do I set up being a mentor, how do I deal with the relationship, that'll all be covered there. We'll also have some training sessions that include like how to get your LinkedIn ready or how to do an elevator pitch. And then this time, what we're going to do, which is different to some of our other mentoring programs that we're super excited about, is join with our Trailhead. So this is a training platform offered by Salesforce to include some really career-focused professional skills training, and also within specific areas. So whether you're interested in sales or marketing or engineering or events, we will create a pathway that is specific to you. Gives you an opportunity to learn a bit more about Salesforce and learn a bit more about yourselves and to learn some great professional skills. So we'll be sharing through the APNI network how you can sign up for that program, which, as Adima said, starts in April. Super excited to start it. So yeah, I hope all of you apply. We will begin creating a shortlist of people to run through this first program, and then hopefully coming through with another program in the future. So I'm actually going to hand over now to Io to do a wrap up of today, and thank again our wonderful panelists.
Thank you all for joining today. That was really, really insightful. Learned a lot from all the different mentors on the platform. Our community mentorship program that Edima mentioned is already live. So please, everyone listening in, please feel free to go on our website and try and book time with Chris or Ashlyn, but don't overwhelm them. There's other mentors on there as well. So don't only book time with them. We have people from healthcare, from HR, finance, law, from all walks of life at different stages of their career that can give you guidance. Also, please follow us on all our different social media platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. I just want to end by saying a big thank you to Salesforce, Emily and Yersalem. It's been a lot of weeks or months at this stage trying to put this collaboration together, and we're really excited about the collaboration for the Career Acceleration Mentorship Program. So thanks everyone for joining. I'll let you go have your dinners, and yeah, looking forward to engaging on the mentorship program and seeing everyone drive their careers forward. Thank you all and have a great evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.